Feel the breeze where the dreams don't stop. Sailing high in the metro hub spot. Where next metro where the stories flow. Casting light on the life we know. Talking homes, talking lives we build. Every episode leaves you thrilled. Kick back, relax, let your worries go. You're tuned in now to the Metro Show.
Welcome to The Deep Dive, your essential guide, where we cut through the noise, pull out those really important insights, and get you fully informed on the most fascinating topics. Today, we're tackling a big pile of real estate data. We're going to break it down into clear, actionable knowledge, tailored just for you.
Absolutely. And our focus for this deep dive, it's the May 2025 Pinellas County Real Estate Market Report. Now, this isn't just a bunch of numbers. It's really a vital snapshot, a crucial guide if you're thinking about buying, selling, or maybe just want to understand what's actually happening with local real estate right now. Our goal is to pull out the most vital nuggets so you walk away understanding not just what happened, but really why it matters.
Okay, let's start unpacking this. It sounds like a pretty complex landscape right now. Looking at Pinellas County overall, the report seems to describe, shifting sands, but maybe not everywhere.
Precisely. Yeah, we're seeing a significant rebalancing. It's a gradual transition moving towards conditions that are, definitely more favorable for buyers. But, and this is key, this shift isn't uniform across all segments. It's quite nuanced.
Right, that nuanced picture. That's where it gets really interesting because the report highlights two distinct paths. Single-family homes, they seem to be showing surprising resilience, holding relatively stable despite everything. But then the condos and townhouses, they're seeing much more, pronounced corrections. That divergence feels like the big story.
It absolutely is the headline story. And when you look at the drivers, it makes sense. Take mortgage rates. They were pushing near 7% in mid-May. That's tough.
7%. Wow.
Yeah. And it's not just about the monthly payment, right? It fundamentally changes who can afford to buy and, crucially, how quickly properties are moving off the market.
That's a critical point. So 7% rates are pushing some buyers out, maybe making them look at different price points or hold off altogether, which brings us straight to affordability. The report flags that pretty clearly as a major hurdle, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The income you need now to buy a median-priced home, still a staggering 28% higher than before the pandemic.
20%.
Yeah. That gap is pricing out a lot of first-time buyers, the traditional finance buyers. But sort of in parallel, we're also seeing overall inventory growth, both sectors. So this expanded supply does give buyers, especially those maybe less sensitive to rates like cash buyers, more options than they've had in quite a while.
Okay, so even with that affordability squeeze, buyers are actually finding more properties to look at. Yeah. And you mentioned a change in market velocity. What does that mean for folks watching the market day to day?
It just means things aren't selling quite as fast. Days on market are getting longer. And price reductions, they're definitely becoming more common. You see them more often. It's a clear signal of that rebalancing we're talking about, a move away from that, frenzied seller's market we got used to. It opens the door for buyers to be a bit more deliberate, maybe negotiate more, at least in certain areas.
Okay, let's zoom in then. Single-family homes. Despite the affordability issues, they seem to be doing better. What's the report say specifically about supply and inventory just for those single-family properties?
Well, for single-family, we saw a pretty big surge in active listings in May. Jumped over 10% just month over month.
Wow, 10%.
Yeah, that's the strongest inventory growth we've seen since mid-2024. So it represents a real shift there.
Over 10% in 1 month, that feels substantial. So what does that do to the overall supply picture? That month supply number?
It pushes the month supply for single-family homes up over 5 months now. That's a jump of almost 9% just in May, and, an incredible 160% increase compared to last year.
Huge jump year over year.
It only tells you the supply side is rapidly rebalancing. Buyers just have significantly more choice than they did a year ago.
I remember reading something in the report, even with that growth, inventory is still below pre-pandemic levels, right? Does that mean we're not quite back to normal yet?
You're spot on, yeah. Despite this recent jump, single-family inventory is still about 14% below the averages we saw from 2017 to 2019. So it indicates there's still some scarcity, especially in those really desirable neighborhoods or submarkets. So while options are definitely increasing, it's not like it's suddenly a buyer's market everywhere. Competition for the best properties can still be pretty intense. We also saw new listings go up, but interestingly, not as much as they did in April. might hint at a bit of an early summer cooling, perhaps.
Okay, expanding options, but not exactly a flood, particularly in those prime spots. So how does this affect pricing? And, how fast are these homes selling? What's the median sold price doing?
Well, the median sold price for single family reached $444,000 in May. Now, while that was actually a small increase month over month, the bigger picture, the county's overall median, is down slightly, about 1.2% compared to last year.
Down year over year. Okay.
Yeah, and that annual softness, it's not just a number. It signals a real shift away from that crazy appreciation we saw. For sellers, it means, those days of automatic bidding wars, mostly gone. For buyers, though, it opens the door for more measured negotiation, maybe a chance to find actual value, something we haven't seen much of in years.
That's a really important point. So a broad softening, but I did notice some pockets in the report that are still kind of bucking that trend, like Dunedin. What makes an area like that hold up so well?
Dunedin really stood out for seller strength. Median sales prices there were actually coming in higher than the median list prices.
Ah.
Yeah, shows incredible demand. And basically zero distressed properties listed. Then you have like the 333755 zip code over in Pinellas Park. It just completely defied the county trends. Saw a remarkable 15.6% annual price surge.
15%.
And homes there were selling in just over a month. Pretty quick.
So what makes these places outliers? Is it just location, location, location?
It's often a mix. Limited desirable inventory is usually a big factor. Strong local amenities, maybe good schools, specific economic drivers unique to that little community. It varies.
Pinellas Park, that's an interesting one. What about those traditionally high-demand spots, like the waterfront communities?
Western Pinellas, especially waterfront, still commanding premium pricing. No surprise there. But, and this is a big indicator of the wider shift, price reductions, they affected almost 20%, nearly 1 in 5. Single-family listings countywide in May.
1 in 5.
Yeah, that's the highest rate for May going all the way back to 2016. So even in the strong areas, more sellers are having to adjust their price expectations.
That stat really stands out. Okay, let's pivot now. Condos and townhouses. The report paints a much different picture there, more pronounced correction. What's driving that big difference compared to single family?
Yeah, it's a stark contrast. The main driver is just a even faster acceleration of inventory growth in the condo and townhouse market. Active listings for condos jumped almost 10% monthly. That pushed the month's supply of inventory way up to almost 10 months.
10-month supply.
10 months. That's a massive 213% surge compared to last year. What that does is create really pronounced buyer leverage, much more than we're seeing in the single-family space.
Right. So if you're a buyer looking at condos, you've got way more negotiating power now, and I bet sellers are feeling that squeeze.
Oh, absolutely. You see it in the numbers. New listings in the condo segment actually declined last month.
Declined. Interesting.
Yeah, it suggests sellers might be getting hesitant, seeing the softening demand. And sales activity, definitely cooling. Pending sales dipped year over year. Closed sales fell slightly month over month, too.
Yeah.
That sense of urgency from buyers, it's just not there for condos right now.
And how's that hitting prices directly? Are we seeing big drops for condos?
We are. The median sold price for condos and townhouses dropped 7% just in May, down to $260,000. Price per square foot also fell.
7% monthly drop is significant.
It is. And sellers are definitely giving more concessions. The sold-to-list price ratio is lower than it was last year at this time. Units are sitting longer, too. Median of 55 days on market. That's 17% longer than just April. And we're hearing, especially for luxury waterfront units, they're seeing even steeper discounts needed to get them sold. It really reflects appraisals catching up to the new market reality.
Sounds like buyers are pushing harder on offers and sellers are, having to accept more often. Are certain types of condos feeling more pressure? Or certain areas?
Definitely seeing segmentation there. Luxury condos, yeah, especially in maybe older buildings that haven't been updated, lacking modern amenities. They're facing tougher negotiations. Buyers are really scrutinizing value now. And those older buildings, they might struggle to compete without significant upgrades or price adjustments. Yeah. Entry-level units, say under $200 K. Still decent demand, but they're seeing more competition from investors scooping them up. Even in downtown St. Pete, which is usually pretty hot, condo days on market stretched out to 75 days or more, even with price cuts. And Dunedin's condo market, interestingly, proved more volatile than its single-family side. More distressed sales popping up near commercial areas there.
Okay, this is all super valuable info for our listener, so let's boil it down. If you're a home buyer in Pinellas right now, what are the real actionable takeaways from this report? Where are the opportunities? What challenges should you brace for?
Okay, for home buyers, the big opportunity is that expanded inventory, especially, as we said, in the condo and townhouse market. It just gives you more options to look at and definitely more leverage when you go to make an offer. And the slowing pace, the longer days on market, that means you have more time to really evaluate properties, do your homework, your due diligence, and negotiate more effectively. You're not under the same crazy pressure as before.
Right, no more snap decisions needed. Does the data point to any specific hotspots for buyers maybe looking for value?
Yeah, a couple mentioned St. Pete's 33710 zip code popped up as a potential hotspot, kind of blending affordability with good transit access. And even though the county overall is softening, remember those single-family pockets like Pinellas Park's 33755,
Yeah.
still seeing strong annual price growth. So there could be value there, too, if you move quickly and really understand that specific micro market.
But it's not all sunshine and roses for buyers, is it? What are the big hurdles, especially if you need financing?
No, definitely not. The biggest one remains those high mortgage rates, near 7%. That's a significant affordability barrier. That 28% income gap we talked about versus pre-pandemic, that's real, and it sidelines a lot of buyers. And this was kind of stunning. In some competitive submarkets, cash buyers made up something like 93.4% of transactions.
93% cash.
Yeah. It's an incredible stat. It just underscores the huge challenge for traditional finance buyers. You're often competing directly against all cash offers, which totally changes the negotiation dynamic.
Wow, that cash buyer number is really something. Okay, so what are, say, 3 actionable tips for buyers trying to navigate this?
Okay, first, use that extra time. Don't feel rushed. Leverage the longer days on market to do thorough due diligence and really negotiate for what you want. Second, target specific segments wisely. Maybe explore that condo market where you have more leverage. Look for those potential price reductions, especially in luxury or older units needing work. And third, really dig into those potential hotspots. Check out 33710 for a value, or maybe look at Pinellas Park, 33755, for that surprising strength, but always work with a local expert who truly gets those nuances.
Great advice for buyers. Now let's flip it. For you, the home seller in Pinellas County, what's the situation look like? What are your advantages and disadvantages right now based on this report?
Well, for single-family sellers, there's still some resilience there, especially if you're in a high-demand area like Dunedin, where values actually grew 6% annually. You still hold some leverage. Homes selling on average over 96% of list price. That's still pretty good. But if you're selling a condo, it's a different story. You're facing measurable corrections, increased buyer leverage, more concessions. Units are selling for less relative to list price, around 95%, and taking much longer. That 55 median days on market is significant.
And we saw that countywide, nearly 1 in 5 single-family listings had price cuts, the highest rate since 2016. So even that stronger segment isn't totally immune. Given all that, what strategies should sellers be thinking about to get the best outcome in this market?
Number 1, realistic pricing from the start. And number 2, meticulous property preparation. These are absolutely critical now, especially in those softening condo segments. I mean, the days of just putting a sign in the yard and getting 5 offers over, asking by sundown, those are pretty much over.
Yeah, seems like it.
Overpricing now will almost certainly mean you sit on the market longer, and you'll likely end up taking bigger price cuts later anyway. With more inventory and longer days on market, your marketing needs to be robust. Professional staging. More important than ever to make your place stand out. And finally, really understand your specific segment. Acknowledge that divergence between single-family and condos. If you have a desirable single-family home, you might still get strong prices. But condo sellers, you probably need to be more flexible, more prepared to negotiate.
So be strategic, be prepared, don't just hope for the best.
Got it. Now let's think about the local real estate agents. They're the ones guiding clients through all these shifts. What key trends should they really be zeroing in on right now? Agents absolutely need to keep a close eye on that continuing divergence between single-family and condo performance. It's like 2 different markets sometimes. The ongoing inventory expansion across both sectors is huge. Watching how close it gets to those pre-pandemic levels is key. And of course, mortgage rates. Any fluctuation there immediately impacts buyer affordability, so that's always top of mind. Also worth watching, shifts in investor activity. Are they still targeting those sub $300K condos? Is flipping slowing down? Those trends matter.
So how can agents best use this May report data to really advise their clients effectively, going beyond just, reading off the numbers?
Yeah, it's about interpretation. For buyers, use the inventory data to empower them. Show them they have more options, more negotiation points now. Highlight specific zip codes like 337N0 or property types that offer opportunity. For sellers, use that detailed submarket data. Contrast Dunedin's appreciation with maybe another area seeing adjustments to set realistic expectations and pricing strategies from day one. And really stress the importance of property condition and staging, especially now that buyers have more time and more choices. Overall, the agent's job is to explain this transition, help buyers understand that patience is a virtue now, and help sellers see that flexibility is key.
Makes sense. What skills or knowledge become really valuable for agents in this kind of market where things have clearly shifted?
I think the ability to truly synthesize all this diverse information, spot the subtle patterns, connect the dots between, say, interest rates and inventory in a specific zip code that's paramount.
Yeah.
And guiding clients through those affordability challenges, the financing hurdles, especially with so much cash competition. That's crucial. It really boils down to being a true market expert and trusted advisor, someone who can tell the story behind the numbers and help clients figure out where they fit in. So looking ahead just briefly, based on this May data, what's the outlook? Well, our forecast looking towards late 2025 is that it probably continues to favor patient buyers, and it will continue to demand flexibility from sellers. This rebalancing act, it isn't over yet.
Okay, so no sharp turns expected immediately. What specific trends, maybe big or small, should we keep an eye on in the next few months that could shape things further?
Inventory, very likely to keep expanding through the summer, maybe bringing even more choice. We'll definitely continue to see that affordability pressure from high mortgage rates. That's going to dictate the pace. It's possible we'll see further measurable corrections, particularly in the condo segment, as all that inventory gets worked through. And finally, keep a close watch on investor activity. How does it evolve? Are they pulling back, shifting focus? That'll impact different price points and property types significantly.
Wow. What an incredibly thorough deep dive into the Pinellas County real estate market for May 2025. It's just crystal clear that this market is in a major transition phase. Single-family homes and condos are really marching to different beats right now, and understanding those differences, those nuances, isn't just helpful. It feels absolutely crucial for making smart decisions, whether you're buying, selling, or advising clients in this dynamic environment.
That's exactly right. In a market that's rebalancing like this one, knowledge really is power. Staying informed, digging into these reports critically, that gives you a real edge.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive today.
My pleasure. And just a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on as you process all this. With Pinellas County's inventory climbing back towards pre-pandemic levels and homes sitting on the market longer, how might that increased inventory actually change the game for first-time buyers, even with these high rates? Could it create some unique openings, maybe, for those who are patient, well-prepared, and well-advised, even amid the wider affordability crunch? Something to think about. Keep exploring, keep asking questions.